Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Matt Dillon is an American actor and filmmaker known for his versatility and longevity in Hollywood. Born on February 18, 1964, in New Rochelle, New York, Dillon rose to fame as a teen idol in the late 1970s and early 1980s with standout roles in coming-of-age dramas like Over the Edge, 1979, My Bodyguard, 1980, and The Outsiders, 1983. Directed by Francis Ford Coppola, his brooding screen presence and natural talent quickly set him apart from other actors of his generation. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Dillon transitioned smoothly into more mature roles, earning critical acclaim in films such as Drugstore Cowboy, 1989, directed by Gus Van Sant, which marked a turning point in his career. He showcased both dramatic and comedic skills in a variety of projects, including Singles, 1992, To Die For, 1995, and the blockbuster comedy There's Something About Mary, 1998, where he displayed impeccable comedic timing. Dillon earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor for his role as a conflicted cop in Paul Haggis's ensemble drama Crash, 2004, which won the Oscar for Best Picture. He has also explored writing and directing, notably with City of Ghosts, 2002, a noir-influenced thriller set in Cambodia. Known for avoiding the Hollywood spotlight, Matt Dillon has built a career based on character-driven performances, choosing roles that emphasize depth over celebrity. He continues to work in film and television, proving his staying power in an ever-changing industry. Early life and breakthrough: Matt Dillon was discovered at age 14 while cutting class in Westchester County, New York. A talent scout spotted him and cast him in Over the Edge, 1979, a gritty teen rebellion drama that gave him instant visibility. His good looks and authenticity resonated with audiences, making him a leading figure in the so-called Brat Pack era. Though he was never officially part of that group, his early collaborations with author S.E. Hinton's works, Tex, 1982, Rumble Fish, 1983, and The Outsiders, 1983, established him as a voice for troubled, working-class youth. These films became cult classics and are still regarded as defining representations of teenage angst in American cinema. Career evolution: in the late 80s and 90s, Dillon took on edgier, more adult roles. His performance as a junkie in Drugstore Cowboy, 1989, earned him critical acclaim and revitalized his career. That film helped him break away from the teen idol mold and into more complex territory. He continued to mix genres with roles in The Saint of Fort Washington, 1993, Beautiful Girls, 1996, a romantic dramedy ensemble Wild Things, 1998, a sultry thriller Factotum, 2005, in which he portrayed the alter ego of poet Charles Bukowski. Awards and recognition: Dillon's most decorated role was in Crash, 2004, where he played a deeply flawed police officer dealing with issues of race, power, and redemption. The performance won him nominations for the Academy Award, Golden Globe, BAFTA, and Screen Actors Guild Award for Best Supporting Actor. Directorial work: Dillon expanded into directing with City of Ghosts, 2002, which he also co-wrote and starred in. The film demonstrated his interest in atmospheric, character-driven storytelling, and though it flew under the radar, it earned praise for its ambition. Recent work: in recent years, Matt Dillon has continued to take on diverse projects. He starred in Lars von Trier's The House That Jack Built, 2018, a controversial psychological horror film where he played a serial killer. The role showcased his fearless approach to challenging material. He appeared in the miniseries Wayward Pines, 2015, a mystery, sci-fi show produced by M. Night Shyamalan. In 2020, he starred in Capone alongside Tom Hardy, and in 2023 he was in American Dreamer, a drama film with Peter Dinklage. Personal life: Dillon is known for his low-key private lifestyle. He's a passionate traveler, art lover, and jazz enthusiast, often immersing himself in cultures around the world. Unlike many actors of his stature, he's largely avoided tabloid attention and has rarely spoken in depth about his personal relationships. Legacy: Matt Dillon is one of the rare actors who has successfully transitioned from teen idol to respected character actor and filmmaker. His career spans more than 4 decades, marked by intelligent choices and an aversion to typecasting. Whether leading or supporting, he brings an understated intensity and honesty to his performances. Acting style and craft: Matt Dillon's strength lies in his authenticity. He often plays emotionally complex men, working-class outsiders, morally ambiguous figures, or emotionally withdrawn loners. Unlike many actors from his era, Dillon never sought to become a blockbuster action hero or romantic comedy staple. Instead, he cultivated a career rooted in character-driven drama and indie credibility. Directors often praise Dillon for his preparation and emotional depth. Gus Van Sant once noted that Dillon's performance in Drugstore Cowboy was so internal and real that it didn't feel like acting, it felt lived. That kind of raw realism became his trademark. Dillon himself has said that he sees acting as an ongoing education. You're constantly learning about people. The craft is in the details, in observation. That's why I like watching people on the subway. Cultural and critical impact: Dillon's influence is often underrated because he has stayed outside the Hollywood spotlight. However, his career mirrors a kind of parallel to actors like Sean Penn or Ethan Hawke, fiercely independent, more interested in art than fame. He was part of a generation that helped usher in more realistic, raw storytelling in American cinema, particularly in the 1980s and early 1990s. His performances have inspired directors and actors alike. Some critics have compared his career choices to that of Steve McQueen: gritty, masculine, but not without vulnerability. Beyond the screen: outside of acting and directing, Dillon has explored several creative avenues. Documentary work: he has been involved in several cultural documentary projects and spoken publicly about his love for Cuban music and global cinema. Philanthropy: Dillon has traveled extensively in Latin America and Asia, often supporting humanitarian efforts quietly, particularly those related to disaster relief and cultural preservation. Film preservation: he's voiced concern about the loss of analog film in modern moviemaking and has participated in preservation efforts for lesser-known classic films. Recent and upcoming projects: as of the mid-2020s, Dillon remains active both in front of and behind the camera. He has reportedly been working on a second directorial project, though few details have been released. In interviews, he's expressed interest in theater and hinted at possibly doing a stage production, something he's never done professionally but has long admired. He has also begun to appear at more film festivals and retrospectives, most recently hosting screenings of Drugstore Cowboy and Rumble Fish. Sharing insights into his early collaborations with Francis Ford Coppola. Personal reflections on fame: Dillon has spoken in interviews about avoiding the pitfalls of fame. While contemporaries from his early career either faded or leaned into stardom, Dillon took long breaks between roles and avoided high-profile relationships in the media. He once told The Guardian, "Fame was never the endgame. I just wanted to get better at what I was doing. The less people know about me, the more they believe the character." Matt Dillon is one of those rare actors who has managed to evolve with time while staying true to his roots. His career reflects not just talent, but taste, a commitment to craft over celebrity and substance over flash. Would you like a curated list of essential Matt Dillon performances to watch? Or a comparison to actors like Kevin Zegers who followed a somewhat similar path in indie and genre-blending films? Craft and acting style. Matt Dillon is known for his naturalistic acting style, marked by emotional restraint, intensity, and a gritty, blue-collar sensibility. His performances often reflect an empathy for the working-class man, loners, misfits, or morally ambiguous characters trying to navigate complex situations. He doesn't rely on flashy gestures or melodrama. Instead, he brings a grounded authenticity that often makes even the smallest roles memorable. He's often praised for quiet performances that linger, with a particular strength in portraying internal conflict, a quality evident in roles like Drugstore Cowboy, Crash, and Factotum. Directors and critics have long noted his ability to disappear into roles without ego, making him a favorite among auteurs like Gus Van Sant and Lars von Trier. Clapperboard. Working with iconic directors over the years, Dillon has worked with several legendary filmmakers: Francis Ford Coppola, The Outsiders, Rumble Fish, Gus Van Sant, Drugstore Cowboy, Lars von Trier, The House That Jack Built, Cameron Crowe, Singles, Paul Haggis, Crash, Barry Levinson, The Flamingo Kid. His openness to both independent cinema and risk-taking directors has helped him maintain relevance and critical respect. Brain influences and artistic interests. Dillon is widely read and deeply interested in literature, particularly beat poets and American existentialists like Charles Bukowski and Jack Kerouac. That influence is evident in his choices. He played Bukowski's alter ego in Factotum and even narrated Kerouac's On the Road audiobook. He's also an admirer of classic film stars like Marlon Brando, James Dean, and Robert Mitchum, all of whom inform his acting style. His love for noir, jazz, and photography shows up in his directorial work and in his public appearances, often marked by a vintage, classic look. Global perspective. Matt Dillon has cultivated a cosmopolitan worldview. He's spent extended time in places like Cambodia, Cuba, and Vietnam. His travels influenced City of Ghosts, which he directed and partially filmed in Phnom Penh. Unlike many of his peers, Dillon frequently chooses international film festivals and cultural engagements over mainstream press tours. Man Detective. Underrated performances. Though known for his bigger titles, Dillon has given remarkable performances in several under-the-radar films. The Saint of Fort Washington, 1993, as a homeless man with schizophrenia. Takers, 2010, playing an aging detective in a slick heist thriller. Sunlight Jr., 2013, as a disabled ex-con living on the fringes with Naomi Watts. Nothing But the Truth, 2008, as a federal agent in a political journalism thriller. These roles show his range and willingness to take on complex, sometimes unglamorous characters. Footprint. Cultural footprint. Though never a tabloid fixture or blockbuster mainstay, Matt Dillon remains quietly iconic. He represents a certain type of 80s-era cool that's aged well, authentic, slightly rebellious, and unpretentious. Actors like Ethan Hawke, Ben Foster, and even Robert Pattinson have cited Dillon as an influence. He also occasionally pops up in surprising places, such as guest starring in Modern Family, appearing in music videos, e.g. The Pogues' Fairy Tale of New York, participating in humanitarian work, especially around post-war Southeast Asia. Around Pushpin, where he stands now as of the mid-2020s, Matt Dillon continues to work steadily, if selectively. He has embraced streaming and prestige TV but continues to favor independent films and festival-oriented projects. He's seen as a respected elder statesman of acting, someone who paved the way for a generation of actors who seek a balance between art and mainstream appeal. His avoidance of Hollywood excess, along with his deep film literacy, keeps him in demand among filmmakers who value substance over flash. Pop culture status. The anti-icon, unlike many of his peers from the 1980s, Dillon never embraced superstardom, and that's precisely what makes him cool. In an era of polished celebrity branding, Dillon has remained elusive, often described by critics as enigmatic or a reluctant star. His name doesn't trend often, but when it does, it's usually because of a bold performance or a deep dive retrospective into his work. He's something of a cult icon, beloved by film buffs, respected by his peers, and still largely unknown to younger audiences, which, in today's age of overexposure, is almost refreshing. Busts in silhouette collaborations and on-set reputation. Matt Dillon is known within the industry as professional and prepared. Low-maintenance, direct but kind. Actors and directors often say he brings serious intensity to his work without the diva energy that can come with decades in the business. He's particularly well liked by directors who enjoy working with actors who take creative risks and don't require excessive handholding. He's formed recurring creative relationships with Francis Ford Coppola, Gus Van Sant, Noah Baumbach, voice work. Despite his low-profile demeanor, he's shared the screen with a wide array of top-tier talent, from Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock to Tom Cruise and Ben Stiller, often playing the foil, the outsider, or the morally ambiguous figure. Trophy award recognition. Acclaimed but underrated. Matt Dillon's performance in Crash, 2004, was the high point of his awards recognition. Academy Award nominee, Best Supporting Actor, Golden Globe nominee, BAFTA nominee, Screen Actors Guild Award winner, Best Ensemble Cast. That role gave him long overdue mainstream acknowledgement, but many fans and critics believe he deserved nominations for earlier work like Drugstore Cowboy or The Saint of Fort Washington. Like many of the great character actors, he's often too subtle for award shows, delivering excellent work that doesn't beg for attention. Red Heart romantic life and public image. Though private, Dillon has had a few public relationships, most notably with Cameron Diaz. They dated in the mid to late 90s during There's Something About Mary. Their breakup was widely covered at the time. Brief rumored flings with actresses and models in the 80s and 90s, though he's kept most of that out of the spotlight. He's never married and doesn't have children, which has only added to his reputation as a wandering artist, focused more on craft and experience than conventional fame or family. Film projector behind the camera, more to come? Though City of Ghosts, 2002, remains his only full-length feature as a director, Dillon has expressed interest in returning to directing. He's written multiple scripts over the years and hinted in interviews that he's just waiting for the right time to make another film, possibly with international themes or historical subject matter. In addition to film, he's also directed short documentaries and music videos, voice-narrated literary projects, special segments for art exhibitions and jazz festivals. Dillon's creative interests stretch well beyond acting, hinting at a possible second life as a full-time filmmaker or curator of cultural projects. Bar graph where he ranks today in film circles. Matt Dillon is viewed similarly to actors like Willem Dafoe, Ethan Hawke, Jeff Bridges. Earlier career, Benicio del Toro. These are actors known for deep emotional range, risk-taking, and longevity without selling out. Dillon may not headline billion-dollar franchises, but his filmography is stronger and more artistically consistent than many A-listers. He occupies a sweet spot, a critic's favorite and a director's dream, all while remaining outside the pressures of commercial celebrity. philosophy of acting and art. Matt Dillon approaches acting more as a vocation than a profession. In interviews, he's described himself not as a movie star, but as a storyteller. He has said, "The goal for me is to find truth in the role, to be honest, even when the character isn't." His choices show an allegiance to this idea, rather than chasing box office hits or franchise roles. Dillon tends to pick characters that explore fractured masculinity, moral ambiguity, and emotional isolation. He's more interested in what a role says about the human condition than how it will play on a red carpet. He has frequently quoted directors like Elia Kazan and actors like Montgomery Clift, artists who put craft over celebrity. This quiet rigor makes him a kind of actor's actor, admired in the same breath as people like Daniel Day-Lewis, though with less theatrical flourish. Global reputation outside the U.S. Matt Dillon is often recognized for his artistic integrity. He's a frequent guest at international film festivals, including Venice, Cannes, and Berlin. Critics abroad often praise his lack of ego, worldliness, affinity for non-American narratives. He's one of the few American actors to actively seek out stories with cross-cultural dimensions, particularly in City of Ghosts, which involved Southeast Asian cast and crew. He's also done humanitarian work in Cambodia and has publicly supported preserving cultural heritage in war-torn regions. Mic voice work and literary projects. Though mostly known for on-screen performances, Dillon has a distinctive, gravelly voice that has led to some unique voiceover roles. Narrated Kerouac's On the Road for audiobook, widely praised for its haunting jazz-like rhythm, voiced characters in animated projects like Rock Dog, and short film collaborations with visual artists. Read short stories and poetry for cultural outlets such as The New Yorker and NPR. This reflects another side of him, a literary, introspective artist with a real reverence for American letters and spoken word performance. Sunglasses. The mystique factor. Few actors of Dillon's generation have maintained such an air of mystery without seeming aloof or arrogant. He's not a recluse, he gives interviews, attends festivals, and is engaged in cultural circles, but he carefully controls his exposure. Key aspects of this: no social media presence, rarely seen in paparazzi photos, gives thoughtful, unfiltered interviews, but only on occasion, does not chase fame or awards. This mystique has given him a timeless outsider vibe. Much like Steve McQueen or Harry Dean Stanton, men who embodied coolness without needing to declare it. Mantelpiece clock. Unrealized or almost roles. Over the years, Matt Dillon has been linked to several roles he almost played, some of which might have radically changed his career trajectory. Was reportedly considered for the role of Maverick in Top Gun, which eventually went to Tom Cruise. Was offered several studio romantic leads in the early 90s but turned them down in favor of Drugstore Cowboy and The Saint of Fort Washington. At one point, was attached to a Bukowski biopic before factotum turned down recurring TV opportunities in the 2000s to remain focused on film and directing. These decisions reflect a deep commitment to creative control, even if it meant fewer paychecks or less mainstream visibility. Crystal ball. What's next for Matt Dillon? Dillon is in his early 60s now, an age when many actors either cement their legacy with prestige projects or pivot into character roles and long-form streaming series. He seems more aligned with the former and has hinted that he's working on a new film as director, possibly a neo-noir or travel-influenced thriller, a documentary project, likely based on global or humanitarian themes. Collaborations with European directors. He's expressed admiration for filmmakers like Paolo Sorrentino and Pedro Almodovar. If history is any indication, Dillon will likely continue to surprise audiences with deep, reflective, and sometimes daring performances, always on his own terms.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching.